All right, so here's part 2 of 2 for the pediatric Loma Linda Pediatric Urgent Care out in Indio. You've already got the one for the baby sign. This is the main pole sign that goes with it. So buckle your seatbelts. A lot going on. A lot going on. So let's just go over the parts first to kind of see what's going on. I'll break it down like this. You've got a bottom box here. You got your main frame, dark gray, and you have 2 sidecars, double-sided signs. So we'll go over the parts here. Take it all the way. So first page, I have basically the main frame and all of the jigs for that. Keep an eye out. So sidecars, right side and left side. You've got faces, so a couple of inserts, brace parts there, your ends and all that. So keep an eye out for that. There's a bottom box frame, so you'll put that together. The jigs for that have little notches, so they're a little bit different than the main frame, so that'll help you keep things separate. None of this is the same as the other frame, so this is exclusive to this. All your skins on one page. Keep an eye out for that. These are symmetrical or whatever, so there's no left or right side, so they're the same. Skin's gonna be busted into 3 pieces, and keep an eye out for this little nugget. It's a little different. We'll go over that, but this goes with this skin, so keep an eye out for that guy. And then the skins for the bottom box. Keep an eye out for those. So I'm calling this the main core. We're going to kind of work our way out from this is kind of the main thing that attaches to the bolt, 1/4 inch. We'll go over that, but that's why I'm calling that the main core. Keep an eye out for those parts. And there's a little bar that's separate. Keep an eye out for him. We're going to do a Power Vault Mark 6 off the shelf like we do, just one of our single bangers, just for the sake of time. I'm going ahead and sent you parts for it, so that way you can replace the one on the shelf. But if you guys are up against it, theoretically you could just grab one off the shelf and go, but just make sure at some point you replace it, so that way you've got stock. Keep an eye out for this. It's just a single piece of 09 with some V-bit scribes. That's for the acrylic fancy bits. We'll go over that in a sec. We got regular channel letters, but they got to be kind of clean, so these are the backers for those. Keep an eye out for those. 1/2 inch acrylic pushies, as we do. So we got acrylic backed up plex and the plex faces, the acrylic faces, backed up acrylic. Keep an eye out for those. And 1/8 inch tough act for the pushers. So here's your fancy, I'm calling them the deco things, whatever you want to call them, but these are the fancy blocks. We'll go over that. So here we are. Let's just start with the channel letter, just kind of off to the side. Because this needs to be clean, we're going to do the regular, it's a regular channel letter, but we're going to do it reverse channel style. So 2.5 inch 050, and you're just going to, like you do reverse, weld the return to the top of the backer, like a reverse channel. Put the seam, the seam will be on the side, we'll bond to it. But that'll give us a clean mounting surface for the back. Trim cap, I believe, don't quote me on this, but it looks like this is a white acrylic with the vinyl on top. So I think you could just do, white trim cap and be done. But check the work order on that. Don't quote me. But I think that's all you need to do. That can be done. So anyway, and eventually when it's all done, that'll just mount to the face right there. Frap. So just start with both frames need to go together. So you can do the big box over here. Just put him together. And then you'll see where the back piece here has provisions to line it up with clecos and rivets and or screws to the mainframe once you get the mainframe done. You've been doing a lot of this lately, so yeah, this seems to be, we're on a kick of having big bottom box sidecars that attach after. So sorry about the zooming in and out. This thing's so big I can barely fit it all. So anyway. So here's your main frame, you got your top, your sides, all that. Let's start with the core. You're gonna work your way from the inner out. So the inner core part here is all 1/4 inch, and it's gonna have a long leg that sticks up, and it's gonna grab the lift point up here. So we'll start with that, because you gotta kind of do it in order. So work from the core out. So take your core, You got dog bones. This is going to allow, the core is going to have the 3 points for the through bolts and or tap flex, whatever install wants to use, into the pole, into the steel pipe. So you've got extra long dog bones here. Those are going to slot into the 090 here. Once you get the core all together, you're going to bring these pieces together with the flanges out, and you're going to go ahead and you can, get that ready. If you tack it, I don't know, whatever works for you, but at least just get that started around the core once you get the core welded. So get the core welded together. You're going to bring these dog bones together with these, and you're going to make like a top view here. You'll have the long pieces here. That's these pieces. That's where the hole is right here, is where the hole is there. And then these two pieces will go in between. Now you see here's the long boy. It's like a long handle. He's going to go through this long dog bone here, and then that's what's going to slot up through all the way up to the lift point. Then you can see where the appropriate part here has its own slot right there. That's where it slots up. And then you have 3/16 clecos here, here, and here, and here. That will align to the top plate. So the top plate has cleco spots there. So that'll help you line this up. And so basically you put these two on the sides, and then get the jigs ready. Put the jigs in here, and then this jig will be sticking up ready to go. And then you can slide this particular one down over those jigs, and you're good to go. Once this is in the jigs, this is where the other piece of 1/4 inch I was telling you about, that's going to slide through, and you're going to cleco it in place, and you're going to tack it up. So what this is going to do is this is going to be a support for the sidecars. So that way install can take the sidecars out there separately, slide them on, and the groove, the tongue that sticks out here, will support the sidecar, and the top of the core has 2 other tongues sticking out. So that's the system for that. And you'll see where your skins are cleared for that, and then the other tongue fits right here. So you're clear for that. So that's where those are. So that's important that you do that before you put the skins on, is get this core ready, and once this is all put together, you slide that piece in there, and don't forget him. That's going to help with install. So what you do is just work your way out, like I said. So get the core ready, put these 2 on, put this piece on, cleco that, and then you can start building it out. Put that guy on. Same thing here. You put this one on, and then you can slide from the bottom up this piece here. You're good to go. And then once that's good, then you can start building, and then you bring the outsides in, outsides in. I went back and forth whether to make this piece all the way through and then make this sort of like an earmuff thing, but this made it to where you don't need to seam anything but this long piece. So this is the only one that requires the usual seaming because it was bigger than 10 feet. So the main outside part, look for that. You'll just lords that, put that together. So otherwise it all goes together like a normal frame. Your seams, this will be your seam C. Look for these letters. That's corresponds to where these guys go. So you got M. That's the M part there. A, B, C. So look for all that. So just put all this frame together, get it all welded up nice. And then what you're going to do is then mate. I would probably do it without the skins on. That way you have access to the clecos that help line these up. All these cleco bits here. So you're going to mate this bottom box to the main frame with, again, do your lords real good, and then you choose whether to rivet or shoot screws. But you want to make sure this is all put together really nice. In order to do the just off the shelf, I had to do a little bit of finagling. So you're going to have a really big jig here, just a solid piece that goes back across, and you're just going to weld that in. That's up here. But you want to make sure this faces out towards the door. And then you're going to have this part here, you're going to bend up and make sure the flanges go towards the back, and then you can rivet, because there'll be room for the rivets. You can just rivet that in, and then that's going to give you a place to mount your Mark 6. So it'll have the 2 holes there and the 2 holes there. So keep an eye out for that. Kind of haven't done anything like that, but that's how you're going to do that. So once that's all in, but you want to make sure you do this before you put the skins on, because then you won't have access to riveting that in. So build the frame, put this box in. When these jigs are in like that, go ahead and put this piece in, and rivet that in. So once you have all that done, there's a piece of 2x2 up here. Once this will be sticking up, you'll slide it, you'll skewer it through the top pieces here, and also you'll catch that, like I say, you'll catch that piece of 1/4 inch on the core. So that'll help when they lift it. You'll have an access point here. You just put this ring underneath like we do, and you have a little hatch up top. So that'll give us access for lift. Cutting list is down here, just a little piece of 2x2. And while we're here, let's just talk about that. 5-inch, order it in. This is per YJ structural. So go ahead and order a piece in, 5-inch, standard schedule 40 or whatever it is. Sorry about the 1/4 inch. You can, do whatever you want to do there, but I just know that it came out to for whatever reason, it was 117 1/4 in order for this to bonk into the top of the core. So the idea is that this sign will sit on the core right there on the piece of 1/4 inch plate, and then this will sit at grade. So shoot for that as much as possible. Go ahead and mark it at that point as well for install, or if install cuts this pipe, they can do that. So I'm going to shoot this over to install as well so they have it. But they're calling for 65 in the cement, in the concrete, and 117 1/4 above grade will give us exact bonk. So I don't think it'll be the end of the world though if this thing actually sits on the ground a little bit and then they put these through and it doesn't quite bonk. As long as it's straight, it doesn't really matter. It should be fine. All right, so once you have the framing all done, I think that should do that. Make sure it's all secure. Then you can choose to skin it however you choose to. Like I say, your skin is broken up right here at this seam. You have this bottom skin and the top skin. And then go ahead and put the side box skins on. And then these guys are like we do. You've done these shoebox, no problem, 45. We'll try to minimize the light leaks as much as possible. I tried to go as skinny as I could here. This is just a 1/16 on both sides here to try to minimize the light leaks, but you might have to kind of do some caulking or something in the field just to try to, or something, I don't know, do some light tests to make sure it doesn't go away or get its way out. These guys here are directional. You can see where this is the slot for that tongue to stick out for a support. So make sure you get the right one and the right one. You got the right there, and just make sure the holes all line up. You can choose to do this before or after skinning, but kind of like what you did with exactly like you did with the Casino Agua Caliente. You're going to do 5/16 steel riv nuts that will grab the frame and the jig, so you'll have that strength. So that's why I made this top jig all one piece. So you'll put your riv nuts in 5/16 steel. I ordered in some. They're the long ones, and then that way it'll grab the 090 frame and the jiggy, and then I clearanced all the holes in the skin. That's why I'm saying you could maybe do this after or before, whatever you choose to do, but make sure you get riv nuts in all of these holes. And that is how the sidecars will go on, is 5/16. I know we still have a lot of 5/16 left over from Living Desert that have those flanges, so those might be handy to equip with install to send out. So you're going to shoot studs. You've got mostly push through, and then the bottom line of copy is white acrylic just backed up. So these are pretty straightforward there. I imagine these don't need to be on when it goes out for install. It'll make it that much lighter. So hence the tabs. It'll be easy for them to install these. So I think that covers that part of it. That's all just sort of normal like we do. You'll have side access here. Let's go over that skin. That's right. Let's go over the door lids. So the top lid there, you'll basically run power out here. Probably get away with one power supply, I'm sure. But you can just run it up and you have holes all the way through here. So you can just chase it up, chase it up, chase it up. And you can bring power in here. That's where the power will be in the box for the sidecar. And there'll be a plenty big hole there for that to go through. And then you can bring it up through here. And then there's a plenty big hole here for the regular channel letter to chase that power through and make connections. So I made the seam for the doors right at that cut point, so you can't really see it that well. So this door here is separate, so it's easy to use. And then from here down, you'll use this door. And then I made a permanent little chunk for any kind of dirt backfill. So look out for that. So you'll permanently Lords on the bottom piece, kind of like we do Loma Linda. So since we're using the off-the-shelf Mark 6, you can see where the switch plate's kind of back and there's chance for water or whatever. So we're going to do this where we don't normally do this, but you're going to Lords on this little cover thing that's going to kind of close the distance to the switch of the Mark 6. So just bend this up 1, 2, 3 like we do, Lords it to the inside. Look for the scribe there. Reference. Go ahead and Lords it to the inside, and all that does is just kind of make a little enclosure around the switch in order to make it look like it's kind of sealed up better. So I think that's it for the normal kind of building the monument sign or pylon sign, whatever frame. You got all that. So now comes to this. We haven't done this before. They wanted some fancy little doodads here. These are 3/4 inch clear acrylic. Thank goodness these do not light up. These are just to sit there and look pretty. So in order to mount these would have to be drilled and mounted from the side edge, which we can't route. So this is going to take a little hand finagling. So you'll see where in the skins here I have some extended rovels. So these are because these are going to grow and they're going to shrink and all that nonsense like we know with acrylic. So I tried to make these as long as possible. This is all set up for number 10s. I have this all right here. So I have it labeled as 1, 2, 3, 4. Now because these things are going to be clear, basically translucent, I couldn't really put any sort of reference scribe on any of these. So you're just going to look for the distance here. So that number 1 there, number 2, it just gets bigger as you go. So number 4 sticks out. So that's how you'll know which one's which. So what you're going to do is you're going to tap number 10 in these locations. You're going to have screw, 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 and you're going to have 2 studs there, all tapped for 1024. So you can make the choice whether to just, if you want to go ahead and just drill these direct for a number 10, just tap directly in, or if you think you want to just do the brass inserts, that's a 1/4 inch hole. Make sure it's clean, a nice clean 1/4 inch hole, and you're just going to drill directly into the side. I would suggest that you keep all of this uniform and don't go in as far as you need. Don't go too crazy, but also try to keep it uniform the distance in, because these will be translucent painted, so you can basically see from certain angles. You'll be able to see what's going on, kinda. So let's just try to make it look neat. And like I say, don't over drill. Don't drill too far in if you're just gonna do a tap directly. Or if you're going to do the brass inserts, you only need to drill in just as far as you need to go. So how this works is you're going to take each of these raw, and then you're going to take this jig, I pointed this out earlier, and you're just going to take this and you're going to drop it right on top of this, and you'll see where these scribe lines will then line up where you need to actually drill. So you're just going to take this thing and just plop it on top, and then mark your acrylic vertically. Just give yourself a line up exactly where these lines are, and then you can go ahead and do X marks the spot. So where you'll make that line, that little vertical line, then you can just make a cross and drill. Do the same thing for the studs over here. And then again, like I said, you guys can kind of choose whether you just want to do a direct tap, or you want to go ahead and tap in some brass inserts. Up to you. That being said, these studs will obviously be hand drilled, so they might be perfectly straight. They will line up to these holes here in the frame. But in order to make this as accurate as possible, I went ahead and made these with minimal clearance. So when you go to actually put these on, you might want to test these before you send it out of paint. Or after, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. But you might need to clearance these just ever so slightly. Don't oversize them. Here's why: because you can see where your access is going to be here, but you're not going to be able to access these studs. So the only access you have are these screw holes here, and possibly these screw holes if you can reach in far enough. It's going to be a reach. So this is the only way that they're going to be attached. And so these studs are merely just a support. That's why I have this. You can maybe decide once you go to assemble these and you have your screws in, if these feel, they just got to sit there and look pretty. If they feel secure enough, then fine. Or maybe you inject ever so slightly some clear silicone in here just to give it a little bit of, security, maybe glue it down a little bit, but I don't think it'll go anywhere. So it's up to you how you think that works. That could just get messy. Who knows? Again, you can see what's going on through these. These are going to be translucent. So you have to kind of be judicial in how you kind of go about this and, what you decide to do. But anyway, so I think you can understand what's going on there, I hope. But this one jig works for all four of them. So the scribe lines will work on number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So these scribe lines are long enough. So I think that's it. So nothing too crazy other than these acrylic panels. But otherwise, I think that should do it. So give me a heads up if you have any questions.